2021, the predicted year of hope. As 2020 came to a close, an audible sigh of relief around the globe for the end of a year of loss, uncomfortable change, disconnection, and isolation. This year had to be better, bigger, things were coming, the future brighter. I got accepted to naturopathic medical school in December, feeling on top of the world, that the next year was going to be nothing short of a year where I would feel bliss and purpose. 2021 turned out to be the worst year of my life. 4 days into the new year, rushed to emergency hemorrhaging, healthcare staff not taking me seriously, brushing the signs off as just my period as I await in agony for tests and scans, emergency surgery the next week with an inverted uterus, a medical finding that astounded doctors and was quite peculiar given my history. As the month wrapped up, January 26th, it was a Tuesday. I walked into the gynecologist's office and walked out forever changed, broken, devastated, fearful, confused about my future with a cancer diagnosis. Uterine embryonal Rhabdomyosarcoma. Very rare, potentially very aggressive, with only about 60 documented cases, most in the pediatric population. Hysterectomy, followed by referral to Toronto to see more specialists, with a plan in motion for chemotherapy and radiation. Fertility treatments to freeze my eggs, and additional surgery to move my ovaries out of the field of radiation, all while trying to finish my last semester of my undergraduate degree, and of all things, medical sciences. Ringing in the new year on January 1st, I was not prepared for what was to come this year. Countless conversations about treatment options, side effects, long-term implications, survival rates, blood counts, and so much more had been constantly a part of my vocabulary. Advocating for myself was a constant struggle, educating myself, asking all the necessary questions to stay well informed, paying attention to all the details or strategies I had to adapt as new specialists continued to be added to the list of my care team. I went through many cycles of grief, after every stage, every change, and every time my mind traced back to those horrendous weeks in pain in January, I felt it all. Days where I cried so many tears and used up full tissue boxes, to days where I felt such a sense of gratitude for a second chance at life to fight this, to days where I felt numb to it all. Days where I couldn't wait for it to be nighttime, to sleep and will myself to awaken from this horrible nightmare. To nights where it's 2 a.m. and my mind is racing with so many thoughts of so many unknowns, I'm counting down the minutes until the morning. This has been hands down the most difficult year of my life, and I can't even begin to remember what it was like to be the person I was before all of this. But even in so much pain, so much suffering, so much darkness, that change in me is a good thing. That is exponential growth. I learned about myself more than I ever have. Going through so many emotions, so many setbacks, and so much heartache willed me to find myself. I discovered my own resiliency, bravery, vulnerability, positivity, and wisdom, working through the many challenges I faced. Although I do believe that finding ourselves is something we will constantly be seeking, this year I found a new sense of peace, being comfortable with who I am evolving to be, and in what direction I am headed. I used to be embarrassed about being ill at a young age, battling an autoimmune disease at the age of 14. It was invisible, so therefore I felt invisible. It took me becoming sick at 21 with cancer to realize how truly amazing I can cope and continue through when there has been so many days where I just want to give up. I've done a lot of soul searching to come to realize the negative things we think about ourselves are not true. I am valid. My struggles are valid. And however I want to feel day to day, even minute to minute, is valid. Cancer taught me a lot of hard lessons. It led me to my village, the people in my life who are my cheerleaders. But it also opened my eyes to the ones that I may have held very close in the past, who couldn't show up for me and give me the love and comfort I deserve. I learned compassion in one of its purest forms, with letting go of resentment for others as well as myself. I learned the utmost importance of taking care of my mind, because if my thoughts weren't healthy, neither was my body. Learning that it is brave to ask for help in healing the trauma of this experience, and learning to live happy and fulfilled every step of the way, during treatment and after. Finding solace in hobbies and to stop isolating myself out of fear and dread that no one will understand me. Losing independence to learn how much we take that part of life for granted, and working so hard to regain it after grueling months stuck in bed due to the side effects of treatment. Allowing myself to just exist in a world where productivity is praised was something I struggled with, but learned in many forms the vital importance. My body would give me signs as my mind would rotate a constant to-do list of tasks I soon came to find out in the end weren't all that important. Sticking to strict deadlines, especially the ones I set for myself, became unrealistic, and I had to surrender to the condition of my body. My body told me in a variety of forms when to stop, and I had no choice but to listen. Rest is important, and I've learned that life is more than the assignments, ongoing projects, everyday tasks that you hold yourself to. In the end, if you're not healthy, you have nothing. Change has been something that I've struggled with, but this year has taught me change can be a good thing, even if it makes you completely uncomfortable and uncertain. As the old saying goes, everything comes out in the wash, even if you have to scrub a little harder sometimes. Change is a part of life, and cancer was the biggest test of change I had ever experienced, and it was hard and unbearable at times, but I'm still here, and that goes to show that you're stronger than you think, and more capable than you feel. I had to give up a lot. Cancer took away opportunities near and dear to me, like ever one day becoming pregnant or delaying my start to medical school. However devastating this was, it forced me to look at my life in different directions, focusing on finding who I truly want to be and coming to appreciate all of the beauty in my life instead of what was lacking. My life has been far from perfect, and I too sometimes get trapped in comparing my life from time to time to the next 22-year-old. But I know my time is coming, and whatever plans there are for my life in the future, they're already set in place. And yes, I said the future, because how lucky am I to be speaking to you all right now, to be sitting here reflecting on the worst year of my life, but have survived it out on the other side. I know so many of the ones we hold dear don't have that chance, and I'm constantly reminded of how precious life is, and the chance we get every day to wake up and take on another day. That I get to make these videos that bring me pure joy. That I have the opportunity to further my education, to help others thrive through their own cancer and chronic illness battles. That I am loved by more people than I probably know, and that I can love them all back. And although the sun may not shine every day, and there will be many of days where I don't feel so optimistic and hopeful, I'm lucky to be able to say there is always tomorrow. I learned that there is a tragic beauty in human emotion. Not that anyone wants to feel negative emotions, but it's inevitable, especially in the midst of trauma. We hear it all the time that positivity is the key to reaching that desired state in life, but I've learned that it's healthy to process and sit in the uncomfortable feeling. It forms a release from the burden of the weight that comes with trying to bottle up those emotions, and fear of failure to be positive all the time. I've come to realize that feeling these emotions, no matter how unpleasant and ugly it can feel, it makes those desirable emotions that much more sweet and blissful, because you know the gravity of their absence. Coming to terms with any emotion and having the ability to be introspective and reflect on why you're feeling the way you do is so healthy for your mind and soul, and has been essential in how I've coped and have continued to heal emotionally from this year that turned my world inside out. This year I found unfathomable strength, and no matter how many treatments, procedures, and results that await ahead, good or bad, I will be okay. I made it through the toughest experience I could even muster in my brain, as being as close to worst case scenario, and I survived. Although I still have a few months left of treatment to go, I know I'm going to be okay. I proved to myself this year that I'm resilient and that I have a purpose that doesn't end here. I'm not the same person I was a year ago, but I think that is a beautiful thing. I am so much more. My cancer journey has been one of the most defining chapters in my life, but in the end, the fact that I survived cancer will be one of my many accomplishments. A huge one, but it won't define me. It'll probably be one of those things that I use in icebreakers because of how unreal it still feels, but also because I am so proud. Proud of the person this experience has made me to be. Proud to be rare but still thriving. Proud to be able to connect on such a human level with my future patients. Proud that I did this looking back at the person I was on January 26th of last year. Scared out of her mind, wondering if I would make it to my next birthdays, the huge milestones in life that I hadn't had the chance to experience yet. I celebrate this day with both happiness and sadness, knowing my normal will never be what it was, but hopeful for what it will become. But fear is only as intimidating as you make it. I know survivorship won't be easy. Every time I go for a checkup or a scan, the anxiety will seep in of reoccurrence and having to fight for my life again. But I won't let it stop me from living because so long this year I have had to put a pause on my life. And I'm determined to live my life fuller and with more intention, but also not take myself too seriously. Soaking up every moment of happiness, whether in celebrating something big or something as small as eating something delicious. I want to hold it all close. And I know there'll be moments where I'll be hard on myself, but I'm learning to be kinder and remind myself how far I've come and how worthy I am of a beautiful life. In some ways, at the age of 22, I feel like I've lived 10 lives. In other ways, I haven't experienced any. My life has been full of appointments, treatments, designated medication schedules, so I'm ready to live the part of my life I've been craving for so long. Making connections, career opportunities, letting go of stress, and just having fun. I've learned not to sweat the small stuff, and that our worries about everyday life are sometimes not that serious, and will eventually fade and bring on to the next. Being okay with not knowing the answers to all life's questions, and just letting life figure itself out. This year was the closest I had ever been to coming to terms with my own mortality, and learning to let go and put my trust into the unknown, and that whatever happens will happen. Being okay that most of the time we can't change what is inevitable. Every breath will not be taken for granted. Every laugh, every tear, all add up to what makes this life worth living. Even through pain, there is a beauty, a life to be lived, and I will be taking every opportunity to live it.